And welcome to Pleasantville, Pacific Palisades, where the Range Rover has replaced the minivan and the soccer mom is also an actress, novelist, or the founder of a multinational company. Pacific Palisades is how rich people do suburbs. So yes, today we're going to talk about Pacific Palisades real estate. We'll talk a little bit of history, who lives here, why the heck are people moving here, prices, and we'll take a tour of the different neighborhoods or pockets within the Palisades. All of this and a bunch of other fun stuff coming up. And let's start with a little bit of history. One of the first major developments in the area was a movie studio called Innsville. It was kind of like a little village by the sea with a bunch of fake buildings, but it did include housing for about 700 people, so it was kind of borderline almost a real town. And interesting, if you go on Google Maps, Pacific Palisades off of Sunset and PCH, bam, Innsville, it's there, but not really, but it is. It only really exists on Google Maps. The real Innsville burned down to the ground several times and eventually moved to Culver City. Now, the Pacific Palisades that we know today with real houses and real people was founded around 1921 by a Methodist group. They thought the area with its great weather and beautiful views was the perfect place to start a religious and intellectual commune. They started by building in the area known today as the Alphabet Streets, which became one of the first and oldest neighborhoods in the Palisades. Now, the name Alphabet Streets was given because the streets are named in alphabetical order and appropriately also named after Methodist missionaries. By the way, my name is Daniel Rangel, real estate agent in Los Angeles. If I can be of any help, it would be an honor. But more importantly, if you like this video, make sure to hit like or subscribe to get more Los Angeles real estate related videos. But anyway, back to the show. So who lives in the Palisades? About 30,000 people, but if we have fun with it and stereotype just a little bit, on one side you have the young proud parents of baby Jennifer who like to shop at REI and Lululemon. On the other side of the spectrum, there's Steven Spielberg and a bunch of other celebrities. And then right in the middle is Bob. He's been here forever. He thought he was buying into a middle-class neighborhood and bam, now he's rich. All the result of just not moving, which is a great lesson in real estate and in life. Go long term. If you can't see yourself living in a house for at least 5 years, just don't even buy, keep renting. I'm a real estate agent. I say it's okay. So why the heck are people moving to the Palisades? Well, a bunch of reasons. For one, if you're looking for a tight-knit community that's safe, family-oriented, like in the suburbs, but with better houses, richer people, and not like 100 miles away from civilization, then you might be into Pacific Palisades. Families love the schools here because unlike other neighborhoods in LA that might have an awesome middle school but then all of a sudden a crappy high school, the Palisades has good schools all around from elementary to high school. Now, celebrities love it here because it's secluded, it's as far away as you can get from civilization without necessarily having to be away from civilization. It's minutes to Santa Monica, Venice Beach, but without the tourist and the homelessness. But just because you won't find a lot of tourists in the Palisades, mostly because, well, they don't know it exists, doesn't mean there isn't anything to do. It's actually quite a hidden gem of a bunch of stuff to do. Will Rogers Beach is practically down the street, and interesting fact, here you're also going to find Ginger Rogers Beach, which is unofficially the only gay beach in Los Angeles. There's also Will Rogers State Park where you can go hiking, horseback riding, watch a polo match. That's right, Pacific Palisades has a polo field. Of course they would. But no rich neighborhood is complete without a world-class golf course, and for that, the Palisades has the Riviera Country Club, which has a reported initiation fee, just the initiation fee, of $300,000. That's like a whole house in Texas. The median price for a single family house in Pacific Palisades as of July 2022 is about $4.3 million, making it more expensive than Santa Monica Monica and Westwood, comparable to Brentwood, and less expensive than Beverly Hills and Bel Air. Now, the Palisades has a low of about $2 million, with the most expensive house selling for $83 million, making it the fourth most expensive house sold in the state of California, according to the website The Robb Report. Now, in the past 10 years, the median price has gone up by about 140%. In the past 20 years, that's 310%. That's a bigger increase than the S&P 500 during the same period. But unlike the S&P 500, you can live in this investment and buy it with 20% down and finance it for 30 years, and you can put in a pool and a doghouse but now for the really fun stuff, the different neighborhoods or areas within the Palisades. Now, there's a bunch of different pockets, but for this video, we're only going to cover 3. 1, the most expensive. 2, my favorite, and 3, the best bang for your buck. But before we do that, let's check out some popular hangout spots. 1, of course, you got the Village or downtown Pacific Palisades, and as the name intuitively implies, it really does feel like a village. And because there's not a lot of tourists here, you're more likely to run into your neighbors or someone that you know, giving that tight-knit community feel. Now, one of the newer developments here in the Palisades is Palisades Village, an outdoor shopping center with restaurants, coffee shops, luxury shopping, and a movie theater. An interesting fact, each building here was designed by a different architect to make it feel like a more organic development as opposed to something that was just, built yesterday. You also got coffee shops and restaurants in the Santa Monica Canyon, and if you're craving regular civilization with like homeless people and tourists, well, Santa Monica and Venice Beach are only a few minutes away. But now let's talk neighborhoods. Number 1, the most expensive area in the Palisades, drum roll please, the Riviera, located on the northeast part of the Palisades next to Santa Monica and Brentwood. Now, the median price for a house here is about $9 million, and as you can imagine, this is where the most expensive house in the Palisades sold, on San Onofre Drive in the northern part of the Riviera. And generally, the more north you go, the more expensive things get. The lots get bigger, the houses get bigger, and of course, the views get better. And one of the reasons for higher prices here is typically land. While the medium lot size in the Palisades may be around 8,500 square feet, here it's double the size at around 17,000 square feet. And while bigger lots usually means bigger houses and add insane views of the Pacific Ocean, and you got yourself a pretty expensive house. Now, to preserve the integrity of the community, the Riviera does have different HOAs, some of which have voluntary HOA fees, so you don't really have to pay them, but if you do, and well, you should, they're only like $300 a year. But more importantly to know, some have an architectural review process, so before you buy a house with plans to make it look like a Disney castle, make sure to check in with the HOA. Number 2, my favorite area in the Palisades, Santa Monica Canyon. Now, some will question this, talking about, that's not even the Palisades, that's Santa Monica, sucker. Well, you're wrong. And while yes, some of the houses here have the Santa Monica address, they don't belong to the city of Santa Monica. They belong to the city of Los Angeles and are part of the Brentwood Pacific Palisades Community Plan as registered with the city. But anyway, specifically, my favorite area here is Rustic Canyon. Like if I had the option to have my dream home anywhere in Los Angeles, I would pick Rustic Canyon. I mean, if the Palisades in general is a getaway secluded, this is like a getaway within a getaway. It just doesn't even feel like you're in Los Angeles anymore. It's green, tropical, foresty, beachy. It's like everything all at once. And something cool you'll find here are creeks. Sometimes they have water, sometimes they don't. But because of this, some of the houses have a bridge. Like you have to cross a bridge to get to the house, like a castle. I mean, what more reason do you want to move to the canyon? Now, naturally, this hidden gem is not cheap, with a median price of around $7 million and a high of around $25 million. And finally, neighborhood number 3, the best bang for your buck, the Alphabet Streets. And as mentioned earlier, this was one of the first proper neighborhoods in the Palisades built around the 1920s. It was initially developed as affordable housing, with some of the original houses being 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, and about 900 square feet. But fast forward to today, and many of those houses were destroyed and replaced with like 3,000 square foot McMansions. Now, I didn't choose this neighborhood for this category because it's the most affordable area in the Palisades, because, well, it's not. I just think this area is a good blend of price, location, and convenience. Now, because it was originally planned as affordable housing, the lots here are smaller compared to other parts of the Palisades. If they were bigger, this would probably be one of the most expensive areas in the Palisades because, well, the location is just amazing. You're right next to downtown, so you can walk or bike to a movie theater, coffee shops, restaurants, grocery store. I mean, again, super convenient area. Now, one thing I don't really like about this area, the streets. They're really narrow, so running into a car coming in the opposite direction, let's just say you want to know how to drive in reverse before you buy a house here. The median price for a house is about $3.9 million, which is slightly less than the general median price for the Palisades, which is around $4.3 million. Now, on the higher end, houses are about $8 million with a low of about $2 million. So to summarize, if you have a bunch of money, you want amazing ocean views, and you don't care about walkability, on the contrary, you want seclusion, then the Riviera might be the place for you. Now, if you want to feel like you're not even in Los Angeles anymore, a getaway within a getaway, check out Rustic Canyon. And if you want general isolation from like the mortals of Los Angeles, but still want to be able to walk to a coffee shop, movie theater, restaurant, and not pay a gazillion dollars for a house, then you might want to consider the Alphabet Streets. And by the way, my name is Daniel Rangel, real estate agent in the Palisades. If I can be of any help, it would be an honor. And if you like this video, make sure to hit like or subscribe to get more Los Angeles real estate related videos, including more neighborhood tours.